I got my coffee. Go get yours. I'll wait. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk about the interim agreement. Now, I've been a pro-IA person since the strike started, and it's not really a secret. And I know some of you don't feel the same way, and you may be asking why I'm for it, and that's fair. So let's dive into that. What is the interim agreement? I am going to start by saying what it's not. It is not a waiver. A waiver would be backing away from things that we had in the past or things that we have asked for in the current negotiations. And that's not what's happening here. The IA doesn't give anything up. It does not cut or waive any of the requirements of the last offer. What the interim agreement is a binding contract based on the last offer made to the Association of Motion Picture and Television Producers, the AMPTP. So, it is everything that SAG-AFTRA has asked the AMPTP to agree to before the strike was called. And SAG-AFTRA is not walking back anything. It's pressing forward for the best possible deal for its members, and at the same time, it is demonstrating the viability of that offer. But we'll get back to that. I'm not in the union, so why should I even care about the strike or the interim agreement? Well, that depends. Are you a performer? Or someday you may want to be in the union? If so, you need to know that if you cross the picket lines today, if you scab, take advantage of the AMPTP's desire to fill the gaps left by the strike, you will not be welcome in the union, ever. That bridge is burnt. Are you an artist in any other genre like music, animation, writing, painting? Then part of this deal is about you too, indirectly. The controls the union is asking for on generative artificial intelligence, AI, lines that SAG-AFTRA is working to draw are going to impact you too. Generative AI is a threat to every creative person. It's being developed to replace us, to make us obsolete. And if you're none of those things, if you just enjoy the arts in any form, you still have a stake in this, because the results of this strike and the WGA strike will shape the future of the arts. Will there be a human idea, human message, human feelings behind the art that you're consuming after all this is said and done? And when that's gone, what's going to be left? I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, so what am I allowed to do? At first, I wanted to list all of the things that the union members could still do, but lists are A, boring, and B, this one is long, so I'm going to ask you to do something different. I am going to ask you to visit sagaftrastrike.org and find the link to the Notice of Non-Struck Work. Now this will list all of the work that is not affected at all by the strike. And then review the list of productions that have signed the interim agreement so far. Those are the things that you can do as a union member without breaking global rule number 1. So while you're there, check out the rest of what's on that page too. Lots of good information. I'm not a member of the union, so I can do anything I want, right? Well, yeah, that's always true. But think about this. While the union is striking to wrangle some controls onto AI, to tweak the pay scales to catch back up with the economy, to fix the residuals, to line up with the streaming platform usage, and to make life just generally better for today's and tomorrow's actors, it really wouldn't be in your best interest to cross the picket line to scab work if you think that you might ever want or need the union. You see, a non-union member doing struck work for a struck company, in this case the AMPTP, sacrifices any future eligibility to SAG-AFTRA. Once you cross the line and work on a struck project, you're working against the union's best interests and their efforts to improve the contracts that you are going to also rely on. You won't be welcome in the union after you've done that. The union is making sacrifices every day. Every member is putting themselves on the line. And anyone who makes that harder on us is not making friends. That's just pouring kerosene on the burning bridge that we were talking about earlier. Why do I need to know all this? Can't I just have my agent, manager, or the union handle it? If you're already represented, first off, congratulations. Good on you. Second, you know it's a partnership, right? You work together to build your career, to find opportunities so that you can both benefit together. So you shouldn't expect or require them to do anything for you. You're partners. And you always have to be ready to do whatever you need to do to manage your career because it is your career, right? It's in your best interest to stay involved in and engaged in and educated about what's going on in the industry, especially when you're in the lower tiers like me. You probably don't have the resources to hire a team of trained people to keep track of all of those things for you. Hell, even then, it's wise to stay informed about the things that are affecting us, especially things as important as the negotiations that are going on right now. I got a casting notice, so what can I do to protect myself? Okay, I added this because this is happening now, and it's not always what you would expect. So here are two things that I will do right away. First, I go to SAG-AFTRA I go to the Interim Agreement page, and then I open the link to view the list of productions that have signed an interim agreement. Then I make sure the production I'm being asked to read for is on that list. Now, there are currently two statuses a production can have on that list, an interim agreement or interim casting. Either one is good. I check it pretty much daily, so I find I have to actually refresh that screen just to make sure that it's current. The date's in the top paragraph. Second, I read the whole casting notice, and then I read it again to make sure that the terms that are going to be affected by the interim agreement are actually affected, like pay. So, quick story. I recently received a casting notice from a production, and in the notice it said, quote, all roles are being paid scaled $379 a day until the rates are set for the outcome of the SAG-AFTRA strike, end quote. This is a problem. They signed an interim agreement that actually requires them to use the interim worksheet, the pay scale. So I immediately sent a message to my agent explaining what was going on, provided them with the link. They thanked me for catching it, and they said they were going to call them up first thing Monday to deal with it. But what might have happened if nobody had called on that? If nobody had noticed it? How far would that have gone? Where can I learn more? Great question. Glad you asked. I am going to drop a couple of links to SAG-AFTRA on the screen and in the descriptions so that you can go there and see what's up for yourself. Please do that. Please take the time to learn everything that you can about what's happening. The more informed you are, the better off you are. What is this strike for? If you're an actor and you work in film and television, this strike is for you. Even if you're not in the union yet, the strike is for you. It's for the protection of every current and future union member. It's for fixing the pay rates, catching up to the times. See, we've fallen behind inflation, and the value of today's dollar has made it so the pay has effectively gone down since the last contract was signed. It is to put protections in place, to regulate the use of AI, to protect your brand, your individuality, your likeness, your voice. So it cannot be captured and added to any AI machine without your informed consent. And that is only used on the production that it was captured for. It's also to ensure that we get a reasonable share of the profits for our contributions to the production. Streaming has changed the model for earnings for all of our work, and the AMPTP has so far not been willing to pass that along to all the people who made it possible. There is more, of course, but these are the top three. Final notes for the week. Remember, the interim agreement is not a waiver. You're not giving anything up with this, okay? SAG-AFTRA wants us to work, especially on the interim agreements for the productions, because believe it or not, that all supports the strike. SAG-AFTRA isn't striking against all productions. It's striking against the AMPTP. The interim agreement allows union members and crews to work for non-struck productions while honoring the intentions of the strike. productions using the interim agreement are proving that what SAG-AFTRA is asking for is not excessive. It's not only a workable plan, but there are plenty of companies that are independent, don't have deep pockets, that are jumping at the opportunity to do this. That proves that it's a good deal. And I am also happy to add that recently SAG-AFTRA included WGA coverage. If WGA coverage is on a project, then they will not be allowed to use the interim agreement. We're protecting our sister union. We're supporting them while we're fighting for our own rights. Best of both worlds. So remember, protect yourself. Any production that comes to you, make sure they have an IA in place. And thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Support the strikes, SAG-AFTRA and WGA. Stand strong, and we'll see you next time.